last few weeks have been kind of crazy for the Chiefs. And after last week, we talked about possibly getting Stephon Gilmore, James Bradberry. Yeah, nothing's happened on that front. In fact, a report came out that said that we're not actually interested in James Bradberry at all. His ticket's too high, $13.5 million. With the Chiefs are just not interested in that at all. So two glaring holes right there. And you'd think after the Tyreek Hill move was made, there was going to be a lot more movement. Not really much has happened since the Scantling pickup. But this week we did sign defensive tackle Taylor Stallworth from Indianapolis Colts. Depth signing at DT, not breaking the bank at all. So the question is, and a lot of people are, I named the episode Sleepless in Kansas City, and I feel like a lot of people are just kind of concerned and just kind of question what are we doing? Because we have two gaping holes at edge and cornerback. And we have all this money. So what do you think we're doing, JD? If you could give your best guess as to what was going on, what do you think we're doing?
Best guess and what I would assume is we're probably waiting on the draft, to be honest with you. And so, there's going to be a lot of willing and dealing, a lot of talking. Guys are moving up and down the board, each day. And it's all based off of your needs. What guys are talking about, who's going to be available, free agency after the draft. That's the thing about it too. Because what you start realizing is in this draft process, you don't have on your board how guys are graded, right? This guy right here is an A, B, C. What is our needs? Okay, how is our priorities moving around, right? How does this go? But like I was saying before, if a guy is like almost a no-miss guy, at that position, you might just, hey, look, if we can get him, let's go ahead and take him so this other team doesn't have him. And so I'm thinking right now that the Chiefs are probably waiting on the draft to draft maybe a corner. And there's a lot of guys in the draft, man, that are available that could come in and probably play right away. It's not going to cost you anything. You're going to be locked in for 5 years with this guy that could come in and compete. And they were saying that, like, I guess the corners are a little top heavy. You got a lot of guys that's probably really good from like 1 to like 10, 15 that can really come in and probably play. And so the Chiefs are probably banking on that more so than anything else. Same thing with maybe the pass rushers, the edge rushers, same thing. And they're saying like, look, we go ahead and we concentrate what we get on the draft. The holes we need to fill. If we don't get those, then we know we have these guys out here, free agent wise, that, Ingram still is not signed. We still got some other guys out here that may not want all this money, but now all of a sudden your stock drops because it's like, look, we're getting you late, but we still need you. So let's make a good deal. Still got money to sign guys. So that's probably the issue. I know it's probably what the guys are thinking right now, because we still draft corner pretty high, defensive end and edge pretty high. Probably still get linebacker, safety, and all those different things. Wide receiver, all those things to be filled. And so we haven't moved that much on free agency in any of those positions because they're all available in the draft. So
it's funny you say that. So the idea that we're waiting for the draft to come and seeing what we get out of it, and if we don't get those needs, then we move back to free agency. Because I saw this report this week that Tyrann Mathieu and Stephon Gilmore are in no rush to sign right now, which is funny. It's the opposite view. The players are in no rush because they are waiting until after the draft to see teams will come after them, and then they can maybe get into a bidding war with teams.
Right.
I mean, but I guess that's my question. Do the Chiefs run the risk of getting into a bidding war? Let's say we don't get a cornerback. Let's say we go heavy on edge and heavy on receiver, and a right tackle, for example, in the first 3 rounds. We don't go cornerback. Do we run the risk of having a bidding war for a Stephon Gilmore for other teams that may have missed on getting a cornerback in the draft? I mean, do we run the risk of that?
Absolutely. You absolutely do. And also, too, what you got to realize is sometimes those guys will wait after the draft. It's like, okay, now you need my talents. But also, too, it's like, wait a minute, hold on. If it's too high, then we'll just pass on you. We'll play with the guys that we got here. We can play with the guys we got in the room. Maybe, pick up on some other guys that maybe we will be able to, adjust around, if we need to in certain positions. But I think that's what you start really thinking and trying to understand the strategy on drafting the right guys, right? That's how I feel. And so Gilmore going into a bidding war with another team, it's not going to change. If he's too high, he's just too high. We didn't have the money before to sign him. Look, there's no reason why now all of a sudden you ask for another $2 million, $3 million here. Hey, man, look, you know what? Just keep on walking. We appreciate it, but, we're not going to do it. We're just going to play with the guys we got in the room, try to give them some confidence and just roll the dice with them. So you do run that risk, but also, too, I don't think what you do is you don't become desperate. You don't become desperate on trying to sign a guy, get the guy here for more money than what he was going to make before. That's just me. That would be my strategy in itself. If not, then you look down the road. Plus, we got enough picks. That's the way I look at it. If we're not giving up any picks to get a guy, and trying to work on things, we got enough picks to address those issues. And I think the Chiefs understand that. You got 12 picks in the draft, more than enough. You got more than enough to get 2 corners, 3 edge, a couple of receivers, linebacker. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That gives you that amount of flexibility, what you can do. And so getting the right guys here, you say, hey, look, those later draft picks, hey, we'll give away to move up for this guy or whatever. So I think the Chiefs are just thinking that, man. Play with the young guys. You got to develop your team. You got to look, to the future about what it is you want to do. And it's not going to cost you a whole lot. So that would be the strategy. Don't get into that bidding war. I don't think. Don't do it.
But I mean, as far as I know that some Chief fans have been saying it's we're going to go into this the season because people were banking on Bradberry, right? So we're going to have Snead and Bradberry as our corners, and then we just kind of devote the draft to the edge. And as far as a rookie coming in, it'd probably be easier to have a rookie edge rusher kind of high on that than having a rookie cornerback. Is that true? Would it be harder for have a rookie cornerback to right out the gate?
I guess you can look at it both ways. To be honest, I think for a corner, depends on what you want him to do. He's going to play more man and more zone, more heavy. Either way, you get a guy who's better at that skill set. And so even with a young guy, like I was telling Barbershop last week, these guys only know what they know. And so when you come in, if you get a guy who's competed at the high level, matter of fact, a guy who's going to be in the NFL and guys who's in the NFL who played against Jamar Chase, right? These guys who's been in the last couple of years, you're saying this guy can come in and compete right now. If he's been going against those guys for the past couple of years, he could come in and play in the NFL. And so I think corners, to me, can make a transition because if he's a really good guy, shouldn't even have an issue. Same thing with edge. If an edge guy, if you're just that guy, and I think there's at least 10 good guys that could come in and be NFL ready. If you touch those guys coming in, it shouldn't be an issue as far as, those guys becoming a development and being stars, and at least making some type of change on defense, making what word am I looking for? Making, a splash, if you will, with what you're trying to do.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's pretty clear that Brett Veach does want to go younger. I mean, he's not, the $13.5 million on Bradberry is one thing, but also he is 28. I think he's going to be 29 when the season rolls around. So it's I guess we are kind of, it's a facelift on the team. It's a facelift. We're kind of weeding out the older guys, and it's, Patrick's going to become one of the oldest guys on the team at some point here, and that's funny because, Patrick's still young in the scheme of things.
Well, but the thing is, you have to think in the future wise, as far as what do you want to do? How are you going to develop this for the team down the road? And so you think if you have the necessary pieces, your core pieces here that you can still be with and keep developing around those guys, then you're still going to be an effective team. You're still always going to be in for the runners. As long as you have 15 back there, you're going to be good, right? He's always going to make you a contender. And we've known this. History shows when you have a good quarterback, they always make you a contender. He can make all those guys around him, better. And so you look at a guy like that, LeBron, Jordan, all these different guys you talk about, making guys around them better. So Patrick Mahomes can definitely do that. We got Kelsey here. He's going to be here. Wide receiver, we got some guys that are kind of young, right? We got them now, kind of a long-term deal. Juju's here for a 1-year deal, but you get a young guy here from in wide receiver, you can develop him. And like I said, it's 15th on the ball to him, you're gonna be all right. So.
Yeah. And that's the beauty about this whole thing is, we talk about how we said earlier, it's a deep draft, but it's deep in the positions that we need. It's deep in receiver, yes. It's deep in edge, it's deep in corner. Yep. Even I was reading the other day that they actually the tackles in this class are pretty good, and you can see some of the better right tackles in this draft class could be going late in this. And I read that like maybe the Chiefs even draft a left tackle high in the second round, or maybe in the first round, just in case we don't want to pay the ticket that Orlando Brown might be costing us next year. I mean, that's if we are going full on frugal mode and we are banking on that. But who knows?
Hey, no, listen, hey. Everything's on the table. When it comes to the draft, everything's on the board. And that is good business sense. It was just saying, like, look, you gotta prepare for this guy not to be here. If we're not looking to pay him that boatload of money, making him the highest paid left tackle, then let him move on. We get a young guy in here, try to teach him the ropes, see what he can do. Hey, let him learn for this past year behind it. Why not? Why not try to do it? And so NFL, man, it's still business. That's the main thing, man. It's just this thing right here is still business, but everything's up on the table. And I've learned a long time ago, as soon as they get you here into any team, they're always trying to replace you. That's the way it works. So it's just good business sense.
Yeah. And the worst case, you draft one of these left tackle guys, put him at right tackle. He's a beast at the right side. And, we keep Orlando Brown and we have a right tackle for the next 4 or 5 years. So
right.
Not the worst thing. And that's the thing you see in the past, like a lot of the Patriots, the Ravens, the Steelers, they always draft the first, second rounds. They're always drafting good linemen, BPA linemen. So, and those are teams that historically have good lines, and, look what happens. So,
yeah.
And they were able to trade us Orlando Brown, and, their offensive line was kind of iffy last year. So I guess I can't cite that as an example, but